Your body contains a system that hunts and destroys damaged cells before they become cancer. A Nobel Prize was awarded for mapping how this system works, and researchers have found that certain compounds in this plant can trigger that same cellular cleanup. The pharmaceutical industry spends $85 billion trying to replicate what this plant does for free. And by the end of this video, you will know which plant it is and how to grow it. Hey, before we get into it, if you want to learn what the longest living people on Earth are growing and eating in the blue zones, go check out the Centenarian's Garden. Trust me, these are the secrets to living past 100 that nobody is talking about. There is an island roughly 287 kilometers south of Tokyo. It sits in the Pacific Ocean, part of a volcanic chain called the Izu Archipelago. The island is called Hachijojima. For over 260 years during the Edo period, the Japanese shogunate used it as a prison. Political dissidents, criminals, anyone the government wanted to forget. More than 1,800 people were exiled to Hachijojima between 1606 and 1868. The punishment was designed to be slow and cruel. Exiles received no provisions. They foraged from volcanic rock and sand. They ate whatever they could pull from the ground and the sea: grains, seaweed, fish, and one plant that grew everywhere across the island, pushing through cracks in the black volcanic soil with a persistence nothing could stop. Picture the island in 1750. Volcanic cliffs rise from the ocean. Black sand beaches stretch along the coast. Mist hangs over terraced hillsides where exiles work the soil with bare hands. Inside rough wooden shelters, families prepare the only meal available: bright green leaves with serrated edges, golden sap staining their fingertips as they cut the stems. Here is where the story breaks. The exiles did not waste away. Records from the period describe something that confused the authorities in Tokyo. The prisoners were healthy, remarkably healthy, and they lived long lives. Today, the population of Hachijojima is known for extraordinary longevity. Residents routinely live into their 90s. Researchers who visited the island over the decades kept arriving at the same conclusion. The diet was the variable, and the diet was dominated by one plant above all others. The island carries an unofficial title. It is called the Island of Longevity. The explanation always traces back to one thing: the plant. When you cut the stem of this plant, a bright golden yellow sap bleeds from the wound. Not clear like most herbs, not white or milky, bright yellow, almost like liquid gold dripping from the cut. Inside that sap, scientists would eventually discover compounds no other plant on Earth produces in the same concentration. But that discovery would take centuries to reach the Western world. The exiles ate the leaves every day. They recovered from illness faster than anyone on the mainland. They watched their children grow strong on a diet meant as punishment. The worst thing the shogunate could imagine accidentally created one of the healthiest populations in Japan. But what the islanders could not explain was why. That answer required a Nobel Prize. Picture every cell in your body as a small house. Over time, broken parts accumulate inside: damaged proteins, malfunctioning components, cellular garbage that piles up in the corners. When your body is young, it runs an internal cleanup system that sweeps through each cell and removes the waste. It dismantles the broken parts and recycles them into raw materials for repair. This process is called autophagy. The word comes from Greek. Auto means self. Phagy means eat. Your cells literally eat their own damaged components to stay clean and functional. When autophagy works well, your cells stay young. They resist disease. They repair themselves. But as you age, this system slows down. The garbage trucks stop running, waste accumulates, and when enough damaged material builds up inside a cell, that cell becomes vulnerable. It becomes the kind of cell that turns into cancer. It becomes the seed of Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. It becomes the foundation of nearly every degenerative condition associated with aging. A Japanese scientist named Yoshinori Ohsumi spent decades studying this process. He mapped the precise mechanisms that make autophagy function at the cellular level. In 2016, he received the Nobel Prize for his discoveries. And then the pharmaceutical race began. Companies worldwide realized that a drug triggering autophagy on demand would be the most valuable medicine in history. A pill that forces your body to clean its own cells. The anti-aging market exploded. By 2025, it surpassed $85 billion globally. Companies backed by Google and major venture capital firms began pouring hundreds of millions into developing synthetic autophagy drugs. The target was clear, the money was enormous, the race was on. But before the laboratories could produce a winner, a research team decided to look at nature first. They screened 180 natural compounds from plants around the world, testing each one for its ability to activate autophagy in human cells. Most failed. Some showed mild effects. One compound dominated every single test. It outperformed all 179 alternatives. It proved more effective than resveratrol, the famous compound from grape skins that the wine industry had promoted for decades. This new compound activated autophagy more powerfully, more consistently, and across more species than anything researchers had ever measured. They tested it on yeast. It extended lifespan. They tested it on worms. It extended lifespan. They tested it on fruit flies. It extended lifespan. In human cell cultures, it slowed aging and reduced cellular damage. In mice with heart injuries, it protected the cardiac tissue. In every organism, the compound worked, and in every case, it worked by switching on autophagy. The compound received the scientific name DMC. Researchers declared it the strongest natural autophagy inducer ever identified. Chronic treatment extended median lifespan by approximately 20%. When the researchers traced this compound to its source, they did not find a laboratory. They found it in the golden yellow sap of a plant growing on a volcanic island in the Pacific. A plant that Japanese islanders had been eating every day for centuries, and that plant has a name. The plant is called Ashitaba. In Japanese, the name means tomorrow's leaf. It earned this name because when you harvest a leaf from the stem, a new one begins growing back within 24 hours. By the next morning, the plant has already started replacing what was taken. The botanical name is Angelica kaiski. It belongs to the carrot family and originated on Hachijojima, where volcanic soil and the warm Kuroshio ocean current created perfect growing conditions. The plant has been consumed on this island for over 2,000 years. In Korea, people call it the elixir of life. The samurai of feudal Japan ate it as part of their daily diet. Ancient records from the island describe the effects plainly. Among the islanders, hardly any were sick. Conditions like blindness, paralysis, and gout were almost non-existent. Walk through the markets of Hachijojima today. Ashitaba tempura sits beside bowls of soba noodles. Ashitaba ice cream fills the dessert cases. Elderly women sell bundles of fresh leaves arranged in neat rows on wooden tables. The locals eat it at breakfast and dinner. They brew it as tea. They blend it into juice. For the people of this island, Ashitaba is not exotic or mysterious. It is as ordinary as bread. In Taiwan, Ashitaba has entered health food markets. In Korean health shops, dried Ashitaba powder lines the shelves. Japanese cafes in Tokyo serve Ashitaba lattes, blending the dried leaf powder with steamed milk. Across East Asia, this plant sits at the intersection of food and medicine in a way that Western categories cannot accommodate. It is not a supplement. It is not a pharmaceutical. It is dinner. But the name alone should have drawn the attention of every researcher on Earth. A plant called tomorrow's leaf with golden sap growing on an island of people living past 90. And what scientists found inside it should have changed medicine forever. Researchers in Tokyo focused on the two main compounds inside Ashitaba's golden sap. These compounds are called chalcones. They exist in almost no other plant on the planet. When Ashitaba extract was applied to cancer cells in laboratory testing, something remarkable happened. The extract killed the malignant cells but left normal healthy cells completely untouched. The compounds appeared to distinguish between damaged cells and healthy ones, destroying only what needed to be destroyed. Further testing targeted melanoma, one of the most aggressive forms of skin cancer. The chalcones in Ashitaba directly interfered with the molecular pathways driving melanoma growth. In mice bred to develop the disease, Ashitaba treatment dramatically reduced both the number of tumors and their size. A research team at Meiji University, led by Dr. Toru Okuyama, tested the plant on mice with tobacco-induced lung cancer. The animals received Ashitaba in their food and water. The progression of lung cancer stopped. In separate experiments with skin tumors, external application of the extract controlled the growth. These are not theoretical projections. These are measured laboratory results showing a plant compound that selectively targets cancer cells while leaving healthy tissue unharmed. This is precisely what oncologists spend entire careers searching for. The holy grail of cancer treatment is selectivity. Kill the cancer, spare the patient, and a plant growing on a volcanic island was already doing it. The abilities reach far beyond cancer. The same compounds reduce chronic inflammation throughout the body, they lower blood sugar, they protect the liver, they stimulate nerve cell growth in the brain. When tested against MRSA, the antibiotic-resistant bacteria terrorizing hospitals worldwide, Ashitaba extracts showed stronger antibacterial activity than the reference antibiotic. Long-term studies on mice receiving Ashitaba throughout their entire lives showed reduced inflammation markers, decreased blood clotting risk, and a measurable slowdown in age-related decline. Study after study confirmed it. So the question becomes inescapable. Why have you never heard of this plant? Consider the industries that Ashitaba threatens. The anti-aging pharmaceutical sector surpassed $85 billion in 2025. The cancer drug market measures in the hundreds of billions. The diabetes medication market, the anti-inflammatory market, the antibiotic market, each one represents an empire of annual revenue built on treating conditions that Ashitaba's compounds address. Now consider the plant. It grows in a 12-inch pot. It regenerates overnight. You cannot patent the act of eating a leaf. You cannot build a subscription model around something that regrows faster than you can harvest it. One plant purchased once provides a continuous supply of the most potent natural autophagy inducer ever discovered. No extraction facility required, no capsules, no monthly billing. Search the major medical databases. Look up any mainstream drug compound and you will find tens of thousands of funded studies. Search for Ashitaba and the number drops dramatically. This is not because the plant does not work. The laboratory evidence is overwhelming. This is because funding follows commercial opportunity. Ashitaba offers no commercial opportunity to the companies writing the checks. Though revered as medicine across East Asia for centuries, Ashitaba only became a focus of Western research in the 1990s. 2,000 years of accumulated knowledge sat behind language barriers while the pharmaceutical industry built its empire undisturbed. Because Ashitaba remains relatively unknown to Western cultures, you will not find it at your local grocery store. You will not see it in the supplement aisle at the pharmacy. You will not hear your doctor recommend it. The information barriers are only now beginning to fall, one internet search at a time. What took centuries to overlook may take only years to reverse. The pattern is always the same. Funding follows patents. Patents require control. A plant that regenerates overnight cannot be controlled. What cannot be controlled cannot be monetized. What cannot be monetized does not get funded. What does not get funded does not appear in your doctor's recommendations. What does not appear in recommendations does not enter consciousness. This is not conspiracy. This is economics. The money flows elsewhere. The knowledge gap persists. But here is what the industry cannot stop. You can grow it yourself. Ashitaba grows outdoors in USDA zones 7 through 10, but it thrives in containers indoors in virtually any climate. A 12-inch pot with good drainage is all you need. Place it where it receives bright, indirect light. A kitchen windowsill works perfectly. Here is how to start. Ashitaba seeds need a cold period to wake up. Wrap your seeds in a damp paper towel, place the towel in a sealed bag, and refrigerate for 14 days. This mimics winter conditions and tells the seed it is time to grow. After 2 weeks, sow the seeds about a 1/4 inch deep in basic potting soil. Keep the soil between 60 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Mist regularly, then be patient. Germination takes time. Some seeds sprout in 2 to 3 weeks. Others take up to 6 weeks. This is normal. Ashitaba is slow to start, but once established, it becomes remarkably self-sufficient. The plant prefers mild temperatures of 55 to 75 degrees and handles cool weather far better than extreme heat. If you live in a hot climate, keep it indoors where temperatures stay moderate. Now here is where the name becomes real. Harvest. The outer leaves only. Never take more than 1/3 of the plant at once. Within 5 to 7 days, new growth appears exactly where you cut. One pot provides a steady supply of fresh leaves week after week throughout the growing season. The flavor takes some adjusting. The first bite is slightly bitter, then warm, then fresh, with a celery-like quality that grows on you over time. The islanders of Hachijojima eat young leaves raw in salads. They deep fry them as tempura. They add them to soups and noodle bowls. They dry the leaves for tea. They blend them into juice with fruit. Every single preparation delivers the same active compounds, the same chalcones, the same autophagy activation. To make Ashitaba tea, dry the leaves in a low-temperature oven or in open air for several days. Crumble the dried leaves and steep in hot water for 5 to 10 minutes. The tea has a mild, earthy flavor that improves with honey. 1 cup contains more of the active compounds than most supplement stores even carry. Every 2 years, divide the root system to create new plants from the divisions. 1 purchase becomes 2 plants, then 4, then 8. Traditional Japanese households on Hachijojima maintained Ashitaba gardens in exactly this way, generation after generation. No annual purchases, no replanting. The plant became a permanent fixture in the household. Your grandchildren could harvest from the same root system you established this year. This is not gardening. This is botanical inheritance. This is food security measured not in months but in generations. Seeds store well when kept dry. If supply chains fail, if pharmacies close, if supplement shipments stop arriving, the plant in your kitchen window keeps growing. It keeps regenerating. It keeps producing the compounds that extended lifespan in every organism tested. That is the part they never wanted you to understand. The question was never, why did Japan hide this plant? Japan did not hide anything. Walk through any market on Hachijojima. Ashitaba sits on open shelves beside the fish and the noodles. Japanese families cook with it every evening. The knowledge was always public, always available. The answer is structure. Economic systems see what benefits economic systems. Research follows funding. Funding follows patents. Patents require control. Ashitaba cannot be controlled. It regenerates, it spreads, it grows in a pot on a windowsill and in volcanic rock on a prison island in the middle of the Pacific. It does all of this without asking anyone for permission. What cannot be owned cannot be sold. What cannot be sold cannot be marketed. What cannot be marketed does not enter consciousness. The exiles sent to the worst place the shogunate could imagine found the healthiest food on earth growing beneath their feet. The punishment became the cure. The prison became the garden. 1 pot, 1 plant, 1 leaf at a time, and the system that earned Yoshinori Ohsumi the Nobel Prize. The one that pharmaceutical companies spend $85 billion trying to activate with synthetic drugs, switches on every time you eat it. Every morning, Ashitaba grows a new leaf to replace the one you took. That is what its name means. That is what it does. That is what it has always done. The plant does not care about revenue streams, it cares about tomorrow. And don't forget, if you want to grow what the healthiest people on the planet are growing and start living like them, the Centenarian's Garden has got you covered. Go show them some love.